Today's presenter is Lissa Legge, and she is the founding director of the Center for Sustainability at Georgia Southern University. She also oversees the academic aspects of sustainability on the Georgia Southern campus. She received her PhD in plant ecology at Michigan State University in 1997, taught at Ohio State University for a year before she was hired at Georgia Southern University in 1998 in the biology department, where she is currently still a professor of biology. She is also a founding member of the Georgia Campus Sustainability Network and has been a presenter at the Association for the Advancement of Sustainability in Higher Education. So I know if y'all are like me, you know a little bit about sustainability, but know that there's a lot going on in that field and a lot of new things that can both help your business as well as your home as well. So I know we are in for a treat today, and hopefully we'll learn a lot from what Lissa has to share with us. So Lissa, at this time I'm going to give the presenting controls over to you, and we can go from there.
Thank you very much. All right, I'm flipping over to showing my screen here. Hopefully you can all see the business of sustainability, why going green saves green.
Yep.
Well, I appreciate the invitation to speak for a webinar with the Georgia Chamber. I think this is a fantastic opportunity to reach out to businesses and to show how it makes so much sense to apply some sustainability principles in your business and to actually save money doing that. So I wanted to start off today by talking about what sustainability actually is. And one of my favorite quotes is a Sioux proverb, which is, "The frog does not drink up the pond in which it lives." And that's actually a perfect definition for sustainability, since we don't want to use up the resources that sustain us. But a more formalized definition is one from the UN Brundtland Commission in the document Our Common Future, written in 1987. And that definition is the ability to meet present needs without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their needs. So in a nutshell, what that really means is that sustainability is the careful use of our resources, including water, air, energy, biodiversity, soil, and all of those other resources, so that there'll be an adequate supply for the foreseeable future for our children and for our grandchildren. So sustainability means lots of different things to different people, and as you can see with this Wordle, which is a grouping of words, the larger the word is, the more important that word is in a grouping of words. You can see that sustainability means green, environment, future, renewable, society, all these different things to different people. And in different fields, you can focus on different aspects of sustainability. But notice that renewable is a major component of that, and future is also very important. So one of the very important concepts about sustainability and business is what we call the triple bottom line, or TBL. And that shows that there's an intersection of caring for people, caring about the planet, and caring about profit. And that intersection of those three different components is where sustainability is achieved. If we're just focused on profit with business, then that's not necessarily sustainable. If we just focus on people, then that's not necessarily possible with from the perspective of a business. If we just focus on planet, that doesn't necessarily work for people and profit as well. So if you can get all of those to overlap, then you can see one intersection here with sustainability. So how do we actually measure sustainability in a business or in your own personal life? An ecological footprint is a great way to do this. You can calculate your own ecological footprint at this website here, myfootprint.org. And this shows you how much of the Earth's resources that your lifestyle or your business requires. And it looks at the consumption and waste flow data, and it converts that into biologically productive area. So it basically tells you how much of the planet you use up in your daily life or in your business. And so there are several different major components of the footprint that we can focus on, and that's how I've structured my talk today. So waste is a major component of the footprint, energy, transportation, water, and food. And I'll be talking about the first four with regard to your business today. but I'm going to start off with waste. So for you art lovers out there, you might imagine that this is some sort of impressionist painting. But if you look a little bit more closely, you might determine here that this is actually 2 million plastic beverage bottles, which is the number that's used in the United States every 5 minutes. So we clearly have a waste problem in the United States. Chris Jordan is an excellent photographer who does these fabulous composites to really show people the extent of our environmental problems. Here's another one. You may be familiar with Seurat and enjoy this painting yourself, but look a little more closely and you'll see that this depicts 106,000 aluminum cans, which is the number that's used in the U.S. every 30 seconds. So again, we have an issue with consumption and waste, and both of these products, the plastic and the aluminum, are recyclable. So that is a potential solution to our waste problem. So we do have some waste management options. Of course, you've all heard the term reduce, reuse, recycle. And so the first thing we want to do is to reduce our use of products. So when purchasing, use the least amount, or choose things with the least amount of packaging possible. Reuse, so instead of getting a new plastic bag at the grocery store every time, bring your own canvas bag. And then when you can't reduce or reuse, then take those products and recycle them. It turns out that our landfill space in this country is incredibly limited. In 1988, we had 8,000 landfills in the country. We're now down to only 1,800 landfills that are still open. What's happening is that these landfills are filling up and closing, and we have to put our waste somewhere else. Incineration is also an option, but as incineration takes place, it can cause health problems and biodiversity effects as it releases toxins. So as a waste management option, there are more and more, there are curbside recycling options in some cities. In my town, in Statesboro, Georgia, we have curbside recycling. This is my curbside recycling container, and it's a single stream recycling option. So we can put all of our recycling right here into this bin, and it's just picked up at the curbside for $20 for the year. Now I know that some communities don't have these options, but most likely there is some place that you can take your recycled items yourself if they don't get picked up for you. Keep America Beautiful affiliates are a great place to start to find out where recycling takes place in your community. So another issue when we're thinking about waste production is called Lifecycle Assessment. And it's trying to figure out, in terms of a business where you're manufacturing or working with different components, where do all the components come from and what are the consequences of each of those components? So it's a cradle to grave assessment. Or some people just look at what we call the cradle to gate. That is the production of the item and then where it is actually sold. And to grave would actually take it all the way to the end of life. So you concentrate on where the raw materials come from, where does the extraction take place, what are the ecological consequences of that. Then it has to be transported somewhere. The materials are processed, what are the consequences of that. Then that has to be transported somewhere, and then manufacturing takes place, and then it's transported to be assembled, transported, and finally used by the consumer. And then what happens to that product at the end of its life. So more and more people are starting to look at life cycle assessment where they can determine what are the consequences at each stage of the product's life. Now, in 2002, McDonough and Braungart wrote a book called Cradle to Cradle, Remaking the Way We Make Things. And so this is another alternative. Instead of looking cradle to grave, what we're actually looking at is cradle to cradle. So the things that we make don't have an end. We think about, instead of thinking about disposing of things, we think about fixing them or reusing them in some way or repurposing them for something else. Instead of thinking about the end life of that product. So this is a completely different way of thinking, and I highly recommend this book for those of you who are thinking along the lines of manufacturing. So considering waste, waste is really one of the easiest things that we can take care of in terms of this component of the ecological footprint. It's much easier than you think to not make waste and to reuse and reduce instead. So as you go through your daily life, you can think about all the things that you throw away and think about, instead of throwing them away, reusing them or choosing other options. And you can do this in your business as well. Energy is another component of the ecological footprint. And so just a quick multiple choice question. I'm a professor, so I have to throw in a little test here and there. So which of the following is the most energy efficient light bulb? Is it the incandescent bulb, the one that we all think of when we think of light bulbs? Is it the LED, which is relatively new, or is it the compact fluorescent light bulb? And the answer is the LED. The LED actually uses about 1/10 of the energy of an incandescent bulb, but it's still quite expensive at this point. I looked these up online yesterday, and I saw some that were selling for $12 for a bulb, but they're incredibly energy efficient, and they last just about forever. Compact fluorescents are a really good alternative at this point. They use about 25% of the energy of the traditional incandescent, and in about 6 months they end up paying for themselves. They're a little bit more expensive than the typical incandescent, but they make a great alternative, and they pay for themselves quickly. So a quick statistic for you: in 2007, Americans saved $1.5 billion by switching to compact fluorescent light bulbs. So if you're considering a great place, easy place to save money in your business, this is absolutely it. I have students at Georgia Southern University where I'm a professor, and they live in apartments around campus, and they find that when they switch out to compact fluorescent light bulbs, they don't ever have to pay an overage of using too much electricity. They stay within their allotted amount for that month. So it makes a really big difference. It turns out that the energy saved in this 2007 savings could light all the households in the city the size of Washington, D.C. for over 30 years. So it makes great sense to switch to compact fluorescents, or if it makes financial sense for you, to switch to LEDs. So when you're looking at your office building, it turns out that nearly half of the electricity that's used in an office building comes from lighting. So this is what we would call low-hanging fruit. This is an easy solution to energy savings and sustainability improvements. You see 44% of the electricity comes from lighting. So a few energy saving strategies for offices, for businesses: turn it down, turn it off, or use day lighting. If you have offices with plenty of light coming in, you sometimes don't even need the lights to turn those. You don't even need to turn the lights on to get adequate lighting. We're finding at Georgia Southern University that we are starting to de-lamp our conference rooms and our offices because the fluorescent lighting that's been installed is too bright and people end up with headaches. So de-lamping can actually improve the quality of your life in your office. Updating to efficient lighting is something that would take a little bit of money, but could pay for itself really quickly. Another way to save energy is to turn off computers at night, and a lot of people don't do that. Studies show that about 50% of workers leave their computers on all the time, day and night. And it turns out that if you have a screensaver going on your computer, it's actually using exactly the same amount of energy as if you are working at that computer at that moment. So you can save an incredible amount of energy just by turning off computers at night. Vampire energy is the reason for the picture here. Vampire energy is what people refer to as plugs like cell phone chargers and these kinds of things that when they're plugged into the wall, they're still sucking energy out of the wall. So you're still paying for that electricity, even if it's not doing the job of charging a cell phone or running a stereo or something along those lines. So that's called vampire energy, and it's always there unless you actually unplug it or plug those things into a surge protector and then turn that off, a power strip, and turn that off. So it's really off if you turn off a power strip. So this is another good solution for reducing energy costs in your business. So moving on to transportation as a major component of the footprint. Just a quick fact for you. Did you know that idling your car for more than 10 seconds uses more fuel than restarting your engine? So while you're waiting to pick something up at McDonald's, or waiting to pick up a kid at school, or all these sorts of things, if you're idling for longer than 10 seconds, you're actually wasting a lot of gas, more gas than you would by restarting your engine. So this would be an easy policy to put into place for businesses that are using transportation to deliver packages or something along these lines, to limit idling time. And some businesses have done this with great success in terms of energy savings or transportation savings. So as far as transportation goes, you can focus on your fleet. If you do have a fleet, one really simple thing to do is to simply maintain proper tire pressure. Check the tire pressure once a month on your vehicles, and you actually end up saving about 100 gallons of fuel a year for a typically driven vehicle owned by a person, which I think is about 12,000 miles per year. And some businesses surely are driving their vehicles much more than that. So it's possible to receive a tremendous savings simply by maintaining your tire pressure properly. At Georgia Southern, we did a Get Pumped campaign where we had students go out and actually pump up tires for people, teach them how to check their tire pressure with a tire gauge, and then offered free air if they needed it. Another simple way to reduce transportation costs and improve sustainability in transportation is to reduce speed. It turns out that back in what was in the 70s, when we said 55 saves lives, it wasn't just saving lives that we were concerned with. We were actually concerned with saving gasoline. So 45 is about the optimum speed for gasoline use. So if you put policies in place by which people are to drive 62 miles per hour instead of 65 miles per hour, like Conway Freight did, they actually save 5% of their fuel expense simply by reducing the speed slightly. And they found that this was kind of the sweet spot in maximizing the time that it took to deliver things and the cost that it took for that fuel. Another option is to consider purchasing hybrids as part of the fleet. And the taxis in New York City, you may be aware of this, they're converting over to 13,000 hybrids. They've run into a few snags along the way, but at this point they've got 4,300 of their 13,000 taxis are hybrids. And this is doing a world of good for a very polluted city in terms of reducing pollution, but also in terms of reducing fuel costs and fuel use. In the office, thinking about transportation issues, public transportation could certainly be encouraged, as well as biking. And telecommuting and video conferencing is a great solution these days, with technology really keeping up, doing exactly what we're doing today, having a webinar with people all over the state of Georgia. Makes a lot of sense in terms of transportation sustainability. So the benefits of improving sustainability of transportation for your business are obviously reduced cost and reduced pollution. It turns out that Atlanta is actually 13th highest in the country in particulate pollution, and by reducing emissions from vehicles, that makes a huge difference in terms of reducing that pollution. So moving on to water as a component of the footprint. Right here in Georgia, we are having a major water issue over the last number of years. I checked the statistics this morning. It turns out that this past year, the last 12 months through September of 2011, was the fourth driest 12-month period in Georgia's recorded history. And it was the driest since 1954. So we are experiencing an extended drought, and particularly places like Atlanta have had to deal with this in extreme ways with the economic impact of this. So if you check NOAA, you can determine these statistics for any place at any time. So what do you do about water at the office? Oftentimes there are drips and leaks, and a simple drip in a faucet, a dripping faucet, can cause you to lose up to 430 gallons each month. So that's just simply wasted water. If you can choose WaterSense fixtures, these have been, they meet EPA criteria for reduction of water use by about 20% on these WaterSense fixtures. So if you're switching out fixtures or considering these sorts of things, WaterSense, the little WaterSense logo is the one to look for. Also, many businesses have beautiful landscaping that surround their site, and irrigation ends up taking quite a bit of water. So one option here is to choose plants that are drought tolerant, and we would call that xeriscaping. So landscaping with drought tolerant plants. And also, whatever you plant, you can mulch. If about a 3-inch layer of mulch can reduce water loss significantly. And so a few simple things in terms of choosing appropriate plants for your site and mulching those plants to retain the water, that makes a big difference in terms of irrigation. At Georgia Southern University, on our campus, we have recently instituted a water reuse system where we've piped highly treated wastewater from the city of Statesboro, and we're using that to water about 50% of our playing fields and our irrigated landscape on campus. And so by doing this, what we're doing is not tapping into water from the water table into our drinking water, but we're using water that would have gone back into the stream, but it's treated wastewater, which no one's going to drink immediately. So we're using that on our landscaping. This is a huge savings in terms of sustainability and water in a drought time in Georgia. So to look at a few case studies, sustainability turns out to be very good for the bottom line of a business. To start with, Rochester Institute of Technology replaced its exit sign bulbs, replaced incandescents with 5-watt LEDs in only 25 buildings. And they ended up saving $36,000 a year in cost reduction. And they also improved the safety because the LEDs last for a very long time, and they were constantly replacing those incandescent bulbs. So this simple fix saved them a significant amount of money, and it made a difference in terms of sustainability and energy use. DuPont, chemical company, it cut its carbon emissions by 70%, and at the same time it saved $3 billion. I think we could all use an extra $3 billion. So you can see that this improvement in sustainability also means an improvement in savings. We're all familiar with the old styrofoam boxes that McDonald's used to use. Once they stopped selling burgers in styrofoam boxes, they eliminated 400 million tons of packaging waste. And the result of that was a lot less landfill space was taken up by that packaging. And also, this was a great PR move from McDonald's, which had been much despised by the environmental community and suddenly became admired on environmental issues. So don't underestimate the PR aspects of sustainability as well, especially in this day and age. Walmart and Procter & Gamble teamed up and agreed to sell laundry detergent, liquid laundry detergent, as a concentrated form, only in its concentrated form. And for stores that are selling items, this saves a huge amount of shelf space, but it also reduced water use by 400 million gallons and eliminated 45 million pounds of plastic waste. So this had great benefits in terms of economic benefits for Walmart by saving shelf space, and environmental impacts, sustainability impacts by eliminating reducing water use and eliminating plastic waste. So a little bit closer to home here, I wanted to present some case studies for Georgia to know that, yes, you don't have to be a huge multinational corporation to make sustainability changes. It's possible to do this right here in Georgia, and you can start small. for what turns out to be a pretty big savings. In Buckhead, there's a DoubleTree hotel, and they took a look at their water issues on site, and they found that they had a freezer unit and 2 walk-in coolers that were cooled by compressors. And those compressors did not have a closed-loop system. The water came in, and then it was sent out as wastewater. So they closed the loop on that compressor unit, those compressor units, and they were able to recycle their water, use it over and over again, and every gallon that they reused saved them 2.3 cents. Doesn't sound like a lot, but once you start looking at the savings, it turns out in the first 3 months they saved 700,000 gallons of water just from this one simple fix, and $16,000 in water and sewer costs. So their return on investment took them less than 2 months. So this simple fix was both beneficial for the environment in terms of water savings, and it was also beneficial for DoubleTree Hotel in terms of cost savings. A mid-sized manufacturing firm, NetCam in Alpharetta, Georgia, did an energy audit and determined that they needed to focus on 3 areas. There were actually 24 different areas that they had highlighted, but they determined that these 3 areas were going to make the biggest difference in their sustainability. So they decided to improve their insulation and on the roof, and it was an aging roof, so they re-roofed it and put in a strip of insulation, or a layer of insulation that had not been there before. They also decided to upgrade their lighting to more efficient lighting, and then they replaced some aging AC units. And as a result of this, they ended up using 8% less energy in the first quarter of the following year. So they reduced their energy cost. And as kind of a side effect of this, they ended up with better lighting, so people were much happier in their jobs. They could see better. And the AC units the aging AC units had not kept constant temperature throughout the facility, and so this allowed for a much better temperature control for employees. So this also improved the work environment for the employees of NetCam. So this is a great sustainability success. Notice that the examples that I'm showing you are Partners for a Sustainable Georgia. This is the Department of Natural Resources Sustainability Division program called Partners for a Sustainable Georgia, and these businesses have partnered with the Department of Natural Resources to help them figure out how they can improve their sustainability. And this is a program that is available to any business in the state of Georgia at no cost. And finally, if we're thinking a little bit bigger, Interface Floor is a carpet manufacturer in LaGrange, Georgia that has really sort of showed us how to be the gold standard for the state of Georgia and around the world. Ray Anderson, the CEO of the company, recently passed this summer. He passed away, but he was known worldwide for his commitment to sustainability and his ability to completely convert this carpet manufacturing facility to basically zero waste and very little impact on the planet. So they developed a process to recycle carpet. So they encouraged people to bring their old carpets to the plant, to the factory, and then they use this process where they remove the back and save the back and save the front, and they're actually able to reuse both of those components. So they recycle 74 million pounds of waste each year as a result of this, of recycling the carpet. In addition, they have teamed up with a local landfill to convert methane, to use the methane gas that's produced by the landfill. All landfills produce methane gas. So they take that methane gas and convert it into energy. So in so doing, they're using a renewable energy source. And in addition, they have purchased solar panels for their factories. 7 out of 9 of their factories run on renewable energy. So they've kind of taken the leap into 100% sustainable, and they have really done a fabulous job of showing what a manufacturing firm in Georgia can do. It's really a world leader. So I hope that I've shown you several different kind of small steps to larger steps to even larger steps to see how each of these businesses can become more renewable. So if you're thinking about where do we begin in terms of your own business, a great place to start is with the Sustainable Office Toolkit, which is on the Georgia DNR Sustainability Division website. They have an excellent toolkit that steps you through this whole process of how do you actually implement sustainability into your business. So basically you want to start with some benchmarking. Where are we now? Find out what kind of energy you're using, what about water, do some waste audits to find out what kind of waste is flowing through your business. And then determine what areas are the greatest payback. We saw with NetCam that they focused on those 3 different areas of energy reduction as areas of greatest payback. And so they were able to do that and reduce their energy bill by 8% just by focusing on those 3 areas. So you want to start small. You don't want to start with, by overhauling everything. So you want to take the low-hanging fruit first. That's the easiest fixes for the least amount of money. So one of those fixes would be switching out your lighting from incandescent bulbs to compact fluorescent bulbs. And also behavioral changes make a huge difference in terms of just turning off computers. I just heard on NPR, I think it was yesterday, I heard a report on a school system in Georgia where they had focused on behavioral changes and encouraging teachers and staff to turn off computers every night, turn off printers, all these kinds of things, every accessory, to turn all these things off overnight. And apparently they had the best Thanksgiving shutdown this year that they ever have, and there was virtually nothing that was left on. And this has resulted in a 30% energy savings for that school system, which translates into lots more money available for teachers who would have had to have been cut instead. So simple behavioral changes. Don't, your father used to tell you to turn the light off when you left the room. That truly makes a difference in terms of energy savings and money savings for a company. You can't do this yourself. You need to get buy-in from the team. You need to form a green team, a group of people who are committed to sustainability in your business, and really encourage people to participate. If you just try to make all these changes kind of to overhaul everything without any input, it's not going to work as well. So figure out some sort of program to get people excited about it and to encourage their participation. And then finally, you want to actually document this change or monitor the change to show where you started and then where you got to over a certain period of time. And then you can calculate your return on investment, and you can encourage superiors that this is the right approach and that becoming more sustainable actually saves money in the end. So one of my favorite quotes, again, is from Mahatma Gandhi: "You must be the change you wish to see in the world." We all can complain about how bad things are, but we've got to start with us in terms of making that change. And the changes don't have to be sweeping and huge. You can just start with something as simple as changing a light bulb. So I wanted to highlight a program. This is really kind of a teaser for the Sustainability Advisor Certificate program that Georgia Southern University, the Center for Sustainability that I direct, is partnering with the Georgia Chamber of Commerce to offer this program. So this is a fully online program. It's an 8-week course, and you can, take it at your leisure because it's fully online, so you can do it in the evening or whenever you need to. You don't have to be a certain place. It's offered January 18th through March 13th, and we will basically step you through all of these different aspects of sustainability and how to make your home or your business more sustainable. So we'll focus on these different areas of sustainability. We'll do an introduction to sustainability. We'll talk specifically about water, waste, energy, and then we'll end with green building, which really pulls everything together so that you can make wise choices about any new building that you're doing in your business. So there are online lectures and videos. There's discussions among the participants in the course. There are assignments. There's quizzes. And at the end of this, you should feel like you have the skills and the training to combine both sort of the background understanding of sustainability with the practical knowledge for how to implement sustainability in your home and your business. And so this is offered through the Georgia Continuing Education, Georgia Southern Continuing Education at this link right here. I think the L dropped off of my HTML there. This is coming up in January, and I'd encourage you to think about it or have somebody from your business think about it, because it can give you some kind of a great introduction to how to actually implement these kinds of things in your own business. And I also wanted to just mention the mission of our Center for Sustainability at Georgia Southern. Our goal is to increase education and awareness of sustainability issues on campus and in the community, and this webinar today is one way to do that. We also provide incentives for faculty, staff, and students to incorporate sustainability into research, teaching, and service. We now have a sustainability concentration at Georgia Southern as of last January, so that students can actually take courses to improve their understanding of sustainability. And then we also form partnerships with the community to improve sustainability right here in our area. And we try to implement our best practices in sustainability at Georgia Southern. And this year we're actually designated as one of the top green universities in the country, which we are thrilled to get to that point. And so with that, I will give you some references that I've used for today. The Georgia Department of Natural Resources Sustainability Division has a wealth of resources, so I encourage you to go to their website and take a look at what they have available there. They also have the Partnership for a Sustainable Georgia program that I mentioned earlier, as well as the Sustainable Office Toolkit, which is a great resource. I also get a daily email called Green Biz Daily. You can get to that from greenbiz.com, and there's some excellent suggestions for and case studies for how different businesses are reducing their impact and improving their sustainability and saving money at the same time. And finally, the World Business Council for Sustainable Development has case studies and advice, and you can get to them from this web address right here.